cost of unwellness, it's a published data from America where it says that it's a $300 billion cost for work-related stress and $550 billion for disengagement and work. These are really huge numbers. So as an experiment, what we did is we looked at our offices. It's a typical office, our headquarters in the UK, and understood what is the cost of well-being. What is the cost associated per annum on different things as biophilia, comfort, and views and acoustic. Because they say that if you don't have enough daylight or view of daylight, 50% reduction of your efficiency is estimated. This is like established data. And then we ran some analytics, data analysis of a typical one of our offices to see, so those black dots are people moving around, and then they have desks, to see in a period of 6 months, how do people move around in an office? What are the interactions happening? How do we create a better environment in terms of environment and well-being for the people working in that office? And what we found is that absenteeism got reduced. People are more aware of the health and well-being aspect of it. We started a health and well-being program, which was a calendar that we followed. And then we did something very similar, not the data analytics part, but in our UAE office, where we started a well-being program, and every month people were, all the employees were updated on their health and well-being status, and they were starting to get more interactive and aware. And what we found is that in 2 years' time, our claim loss ratio has been reduced by 50%. And that was a huge saving in terms of insurance costs for the employees, but also it increases the productivity of our work. And when we are more efficient in working, of course, we give better service to the clients. So these are different research done in different parts of our offices as a life project to see what are the benefits of well-being and environment, and how can we perform better. This is a very different scale. It's a resort, and what we wanted to do is collect data on people movement and understand how a journey of a person going through a resort works. So you arrive, you explore, discover, imagine, dwell, and exit. And the whole idea was that to understand the retail hotspots, understanding the outdoor comfort hotspots for F&B and for shopping, and then overlay these information on an economic business case. So what I'm trying to show here is that you can't hire just a normal MEP or a structural engineer or a sustainability person to actually advise you on this. It's an integrated team, an effort of people with different skill sets who might not be in the construction sector, but can actually form these data analytics and economics business case. So here the 4 E's were also implemented, where the experience of the customers were studied, and then the retail hotspots were identified to understand how the revenue could be further generated for the client. And lastly, many of you might know this project. It's in New York. It's the High Line. It's a 2.3 kilometers long walkway, and it was on a freight railway, 1930s, and it was renovated. It took a few years, and we were part of that renovation project. It's just a highly elevated urban walkway. And what happened is when this project opened, within 5 years, the real estate value around the buildings, which you see on the middle picture with the red ones, have rose by 85% because people had the view of the greenery. But what was more interesting about, and Paul touched on this about, is the public realm well-being. How do you manage these 2.3 kilometers walkway where thousands of people walk through? And how do you create a better health and well-being environment for our public hotspots? How do you create placemaking? And this is where usually people wouldn't think about collecting data, but data was collected, and what you see going up and down are the different hotspots where people and tourists were entering the High Line, and this information really helped the city of New York to understand how to manage their security levels. This helped them to understand if they want to put in gated, ticketed pathway in certain areas to reduce traffic, how to do that, but also gave them insights on what are the places where people were gathering more and why. And these kind of information really helps us to build a better environment for ourselves, especially for the health and well-being aspects of it. Because as I showed you before, that according to mental health in UK, most people who live in UK, most people who live in urban lifestyle have less access to nature, and thus there's a high risk of anxiety and stress level. So these kind of projects kind of showed you that bringing people from different skill sets and joining together to create brainstorming and understanding better placemaking actually creates a better source, not for the revenue level, but also creates a better environment for ourselves. So now I'm going to show you how this data collection can be converted from a building scale to city scale. So if you focus on the middle part, that's the City of London. And we ran a data analytics on the city level in the City of London to understand traffic conditions, bicycle path, the insights on managing where people move, how people move, what time of the day people move, and what season. And these information actually helps to create hotspots for the City of London to manage their traffic, to manage their bicycle path, to understand how in an existing infrastructure they can put in more green parks and pop-up gyms. So this is a live example of how data and monitoring can actually help us to understand our environment better. As a construction industry, we're not very good at feedback loops, and everybody knows that. But if we really want to create a health and well-being environment, not within our buildings, but outside of our buildings, collecting data and then understanding the actionable insights from that data to inform our designs and business cases is highly important. And that's what these journeys tell us, is that it is possible. It's just having the mindset and the openness to do these functions is quite important. So lastly, I will leave with a few thoughts. In order to live well and build happy places where people really want to be part of, we need to start thinking about well-being from a very early stage. Well-being shouldn't be an afterthought in the middle of a schematic design or detailed design. Secondly, use research to inform a business case. In order to understand the business case better, we need to look at best practices around the world, in the region, to truly understand how this research can come to a solution to support the business case. Create an integrated design team. The projects that I've shown, these are not coming out of a typical mechanical, electrical, HVAC sustainability consultant. We need people who understand data. We need people who understand how to break data into insights that can truly then convert into design solutions for our environment. Challenge the convention. If you have the right numbers to support the business case, then it's easy to challenge the convention. If you don't have the right numbers and don't have the right mindset, then challenging the convention is a bit difficult. Use the power of parametric design. Parametric design sometimes is seen as very not as creative, especially by architects and engineers. Most architects think parametric design takes the creativity off the table. But on the contrary, parametric design can actually reduce the cost, reduce the materials, and make the buildings more sustainable, which can actually support a healthier, green, well-being environment. And lastly, move from established wellness to data wellness. And what we mean is that collecting data and understanding data and what wellness actually means for our built environment is very, very key in delivering a healthy environment. These are some references. If anybody wants to check out different documents, there's quite a bit of research done where works we have done with Marks & Spencer's John Lewis partnership, which is published in UK GBC and World GBC report. And there's a global happiness report as well, where it talks about case studies within the built environment. Because there's a different metrics of happiness, well-being, but understanding what we truly want to do and creating an evidence-based design to support our built environment is quite important in creating a healthy environment for ourselves. Thank you.